Welcome to Once Upon a Crime, where dark truths, lost legends, and twisted fairy tales come to light. The circle of runes burned faintly in the earth, shadows trembling like living things under the crimson moons. Beauty stood at its heart, her silver-white braid brushing against her shoulder as she steadied her breath. The air pressed heavy, expectant. Lilith's voice cut through the silence, low and certain. You cannot walk through what you do not know. Find her blood and let it guide you. Beauty turned to Rapunzel. Though the golden-haired girl remembered nothing of her birthland, her very blood carried its echo. Beauty reached for her hand, fingers brushing against the warmth of her skin. The moment their touch connected, a surge of energy pulled taut between them, like a thread snapping into place. She closed her eyes. At first, there was only darkness, but then, faint shapes bled into view, hazy and shifting. Stone towers, their peaks like teeth biting into the sky, a river glinting with silver light, cutting through the heart of a city wreathed in banners of gold. Beyond the walls, the hush of ancient forests waiting in silence. Not memories, no, something older. The kingdom as it was carved into Rapunzel's blood, an echo that would not die. Beauty whispered the incantation Lilith had carved into her mind, her red lips shaping words that trembled the ground. Blood to stone, bone to root, open the path unseen. The runes beneath her feet pulsed in time with her heartbeat, and the air cracked open with a sound like shattering glass. A fissure of light split the circle. Through it, the vision sharpened into reality. The shadowed forest just beyond the kingdom's walls, where no sentry would see. The moss glistened with dew, and the distant spires of Rapunzel's true home loomed against the night. Beauty's hand trembled, but her will did not break. She pushed the portal wider, holding the image steady. For a breathless instant, she felt the weight of what she was doing, bending blood and shadow, life and death. Lilith's gaze narrowed, fire glinting in her red hair as she watched. "Good," she murmured. "You have carved the road. But remember, every gate you open leaves a scar." The portal hummed, alive and hungry, waiting to swallow them whole. The portal roared like a wound in the air, its silver light spilling over the runes. Snow tightened her grip on her dagger. Rapunzel clenched the golden whip at her waist, and Beauty's breath came in ragged defiance as she held the gate open. One by one, they stepped into the shimmer, swallowed by the vision of Rapunzel's lost kingdom. Behind them, Lilith did not follow. She stood at the edge of the circle, her red hair blazing in the unnatural glow, her eyes burning with secrets too heavy to name. The portal sealed with a hiss, leaving her silhouette the last thing they saw, watching, waiting, knowing that destiny had only just begun to sharpen its teeth. As they stepped from the portal, their garments shifted to match the world around them. Gone were the colors of magic and battle. In their place hung plain cloaks and simple dresses, woven with the muted threads of villagers. Their boots dulled, their satchels worn, as though they had walked these lands their whole lives. The forest closed in as they pressed forward, its silence broken only by the rustle of branches and the crunch of leaves beneath their steps. The air grew heavy, the scent of damp earth clinging to their breaths, until at last the trees parted. Before them, the palace rose high against the dusk, its golden spires glimmering faintly, as though the setting sun struggled to remember its shine. Yet before they could draw closer, voices carried on the wind. Villagers clustered along the road, their whispers tight and hurried. "The queen is sick," one said, her voice trembling. "A curse," another muttered. "No healer can save her." Snow's breath caught at the villager's words. A shadow of memory fell over her. Her own mother. Pale and fading, no healer able to name the sickness, no charm strong enough to slow its grasp. The helplessness she had buried long ago surged within her, sharper than any dagger at her side. Beside her, Beauty slowed, her silver-white braid swaying as her eyes narrowed toward the looming palace. A strange shimmer ran along the stone walls, faint but unmistakable to those who knew how to look. She pressed a pale hand against the air, her fingertips tracing invisible threads that only she could see. "Look closer," she whispered, her voice edged with unease. "The sickness isn't of flesh. It's written into the walls themselves." Snow followed her gaze, and in the failing light she saw it. Runes carved with precision into the palace stone, pulsing with a dull, malignant glow. Ancient sigils of decay and silence. They wrapped the palace like a web, choking its heart from the outside in. "If we can identify them," Beauty said, stepping forward, her boots silent against the forest floor, "we can unweave the spell, counter it before it seeps deeper into the queen's blood." Her red lips tightened, resolve burning in her pale face. "But we must carve protection of our own, edging runes into her chamber to shield her against the curse." Rapunzel's golden braid tightened around her waist like a serpent as her fists clenched. "Then we have no time to lose. My mother still breathes, and as long as she does, I will not let this magic claim her." The three of them stood together in the shadow of the cursed palace, knowing each step closer would be a battle, not just against the sickness, but against the hand that had written these runes in blood and stone. They crouched beneath the low boughs of the forest edge, the palace gates flickering in torchlight. Guards lingered near the entrance, their voices low, their eyes sharp with unease. Rapunzel broke the silence first, her golden braid catching stray beams of moonlight. "If we can disguise ourselves as healers, they might let us in. They're desperate. Surely they'll accept any hand that promises aid." Beauty shook her head, the silver-white strands of her braid shifting like frost. "Too uncertain. I could stop their movements, freeze them in place. We would have a clear path straight into the queen's chamber." Her pale fingers flexed as if already feeling the crackle of magic beneath her skin. Both turned toward Snow. Her satchel shifted as she adjusted the weight on her hip, the old spellbook pressing against her side like a second heartbeat. She met their gazes, her dark braid brushing her shoulder as she spoke. "No," Snow said softly, but firmly. "If we force our way in, or appear out of place, suspicion will follow us straight to the queen. Whoever carved those runes will know the moment we arrive." She glanced back at the villagers beyond the gates, their whispers still lingering in her ears. "But people are already talking. If we move among them, quietly, naturally, we'll hear more. The servants, the attendants, the ones delivering food and medicine, they know the paths inside better than any guard. If we slip in as attendants to them, carrying what they carry, speaking as they speak, no one will question us." A spark of approval flickered in Beauty's pale eyes. Rapunzel leaned closer, her lips parting with the faintest smile. Snow's voice hardened, conviction settling in her chest. "We don't barge into the queen's chamber. We walk there like we belong." The three girls waited until the palace bells marked the change of the night watch. From their hiding place beneath the branches, Snow pulled her cloak tighter and studied the rhythm of movement near the gates. The guards weary, the villagers shifting with baskets of herbs, cloth, and water. "Now," she whispered. They fell into step among the crowd, heads bowed, the weight of satchels slung over their shoulders giving the illusion of burden attendants. Rapunzel's golden braid was tucked beneath a scarf, though its shimmer still caught faint glimmers of moonlight. Beauty draped her silver-white braid across her shoulder, disguising it beneath plain cloth. Snow kept her dagger hidden but close, its weight grounding her. Thank you for tuning in to Once Upon a Crime. If you'd like to revisit past episodes, you'll find them tucked away in the shadowy corners of this channel. By the very breath of life given by God to Lilith herself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to tap the notification bell. Who knows, it might just lead to your happily ever after.